Another tsunami prophecy. When will the American people start listening to warnings? Michael Snyder reports, we've been warned for decades that someday gigantic tsunamis will hit the United States. Unfortunately, most of the population is not interested in such warnings at all. When I was a child, I was shown giant tsunamis in my dreams over and over again, but at that time I had no idea what I was seeing. It was only many years later that I started to understand. As an adult, I discovered that men and women of God all over the world have been shown enormous tsunamis that will absolutely devastate the coastlines of America. One will hit the West Coast, and one will hit the East Coast. I shared many of these writings in Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, and since that time I have heard from even more people that have had similar experiences. God has been warning us over and over again, but most of those warnings have fallen on deaf ears. Perry Stone has had a number of tsunami dreams over the years, and on November 9th he had another one which greatly startled him. In fact, he was so alarmed that he recorded a special broadcast just to share what he was shown. And in the video he reveals that he was shown that tsunami threat is caused by a large earthquake. Stone then transitioned into a series of dreams he has had over the years, specifically focused on tsunami scenarios affecting various coastal areas of the United States. While clarifying that he does not actively seek such visions, Stone shared a recent dream from November 9, in which he witnessed an earthquake and the subsequent threat of a tsunami. Stone reveals, I do not go to bed thinking about tsunamis. I do not ask God to show me events concerning tsunamis. As a matter of fact, these dreams often come to me at a time when I least expect it. He said, to me, this would fit the pattern of the great tsunami which will hit the west coast of the United States. So many believers have been shown that a tremendous earthquake in the Pacific Ocean stirs up an extremely tall wall of water which slams into coastal communities. Someday it will happen. And the truth is that the Cascadia subduction zone has been quite active recently. On October 2nd, a magnitude 4.7 earthquake rattled the coast of Oregon. A 4.7 magnitude earthquake roiled ocean waters off the coast of Oregon Sunday. The trembler struck 5:49 p.m. about 196 miles from Bandon at the depth of just over 6 miles, according to the United States Geological Survey. Just a few days later, a magnitude 4.3 earthquake could be clearly felt in Seattle. Did you feel it? A magnitude 4.3 earthquake struck Sunday evening, 7:21 p.m. Pacific time, about 35 miles northwest of Seattle, south of Port Townsend, according to preliminary reports from USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Many people reported feeling the shaking, including in parts of Seattle. Scientists tell us that it's just a matter of time before the big one hits the Cascadia subduction zone. Such a quake would have the ability to create a giant tsunami that could potentially destroy everything west of Interstate 5 in the Pacific Northwest. Needless to say, we have never seen a disaster of that magnitude in the entire history of our country, and we're completely and utterly unprepared for it. The Cascadia subduction zone stretches from northern Vancouver Island of Canada, just above, of course, the Canada-US border, all the way down to Northern California, and scientists have compared it to a quote-unquote time bomb. According to Oregon State University paleoseismologist Chris Goldfinger, the Cascadia subduction zone has the potential to cause an earthquake that is almost 30 times more energetic than anything that the San Andreas Fault is capable of producing. Everyone knows the Cascadia's cousin in California, the San Andreas Fault. It gets all the scary glamour, with even a movie this year, San Andreas, dramatizing an apocalypse in the western United States. Truth is, the San Andreas is a lightweight compared to the Cascadia. The Cascadia can deliver a quake that's many times stronger, plus a tsunami. Cascadia can make an earthquake almost 30 times more energetic than the San Andreas to start with, and then it generates a tsunami at the same time, which the side-by-side motion of the San Andreas cannot do, said Chris Goldfinger, a professor of geophysics at Oregon State University. If you live along the west coast, reading that should chill you to the core. Goldfinger claims that such an earthquake could produce a giant wall of water up to 100 feet high. That would be incredibly destructive. The tsunami world brings water 20 to 80, maybe even 100 feet higher than today's high tides. Most of the structures that have survived the killer quake but built too low will be smashed into by a devastating wall of water. And the next surge could be even higher, and the one after that higher still. It won't just be the water causing destruction, but everything it picks up. Goldfinger described what would happen all around, and on the spit of land where CBN News interviewed him in the middle of Newport, Oregon's Yaquina Bay, a few hundred yards from the Pacific Ocean. Then suddenly you've got a bay full of fishing boats, refrigerators, cars, and everything else, Goldfinger explains, and it's like a glacier of debris that's just kind of sloshing back and forth. Do you understand what this would mean? Seattle would essentially be gone. Tacoma would essentially be gone. Portland would all essentially be gone. We're talking about complete and utter devastation on a scale that has never been seen in any of our lifetimes. A number of years ago, the former head of FEMA's Region X was quoted by The New Yorker as saying that everything west of Interstate 5 will be toast. If the entire zone gives way at once, an event that seismologists call a full margin rupture, the magnitude will be somewhere between 8.7 and 9.2 magnitude. That's a very big one. By the time the shaking has ceased and the tsunami has receded, the region will be unrecognizable. Kenneth Murphy, who directs FEMA's Region X, the division responsible for Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Alaska, says our operating assumption is that everything west of Interstate 5 will be toast. In the Pacific Northwest, everything west of Interstate 5 covers some 140,000 square miles, including Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, Eugene, Salem, the capital city of Oregon, Olympia, the capital of Washington, and some 7 million people. I don't even have the words to describe what such a disaster would mean for this country. And scientists insist that it's just a matter of time before it happens. Of course, this is just one of the historic natural disasters that is coming. As I discuss in my book, our planet is becoming increasingly unstable. We're going to see things happening the years ahead that many people never even imagined would be possible, and millions of people will end up as victims of this as a result. This is by Michael Snyder. This is about the author. My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled Chaos is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting those warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have also started a brand new Substack newsletter and encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss any of my articles. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.